Hi, I want to talk about Israel, but before I go there, I want to talk about some related stuff. In some of these cop movies, especially the ones that were made in the 80s or 90s, you see they're chasing this murderer, and he's a serial killer. He's also a very prolific murderer. He has killed every week, and everybody's trying to find him, and everything is so hyped up that even the mayor's office is involved. I saw in one of these cop movies, the mayor was telling the cop, "Hey, this is the fucking mayor's office. Why are you calling here? I'm not the cop." But this is kind of like a similar situation. Like, I'm more like an intellectual. I deal with quantum physics. I have interest in mathematics and divinity, stuff like that. I'm not like military leader. I'm not Hamas politician. I'm not in the Syrian government or Iranian government. So it's more like some type of intellectual opinion, or but with Israel, the amount of damage they have done to many countries, and to Muslims, to the Palestinians, is like the same as in the cop movie. They're calling the fucking mayor's office. Well, the mayor, in this case Hassan, has like some things to say about this, and one of the things that is interesting is that when a country or a regime is collapsing, and there is this denial in the upper classes, in their propaganda, in their foreign relations, to deny that hey, this is not true, and things are as usual, and things will be going on as promised. But with Israel, this is not true, and Israel has sustained tremendous amount of damages, and you can kind of see the signs in what is happening daily now and what is coming on. One of the things that shows that Israel is not a viable country for Jews to go and live there, or have kids, or have businesses there, is all the Jewish women I meet all around in Los Angeles, in Western countries, that they're so in love with Judaism, and so in love with Israel, but they don't live there anymore, and but they send their love and their admiration and other bullshit. There is a reason for it. It's because Israel is not safe. It can be, you can be a victim of violence, get knifed, or you can get killed from a rocket attack from Hamas, or you can get invaded by Syria, or worse, by Hezbollah, or the Hamas or Palestine might break out of Gaza and just take over the area, or as things are going with all the hostilities, all the areas around Gaza for so many miles, all the little towns, they are unlivable. There are attacks, there are tunnels, and more is coming on the way. And recently, there is arson fires. The farms are burning, a lot of farms in Israel. And because they have attacked foreign airports like Syrian airport, they have used their jets, the F-14s, to make many attacks on Syrians and Hezbollah, on Iranians. There is a tremendous amount of anti-aircraft position all around Israel. There are Hezbollah that is sneaking into their territory in Golan. There is Hezbollah everywhere on the north, on the borders. Internally, large portion of their population hates Israel, and the war and conflict will not end. They're losing the demographic battle. The number of Jews is less, maybe a lot less than Muslims, and the international community knows about Israel, and no matter how much they push, they cannot stop sanctions on their products, or many countries they just won't talk to them. Well, they have some symbolic embassies here and there, but I don't know what they had to give up to get those embassies in different countries. I think that there are many signs that this state is collapsing, and I don't know how things will turn out. My feeling is that Israel will end in a ground invasion when the level of anti-aircraft batteries around Israel becomes to such an intensity that they cannot get their fucking F-14s and F-15s and go out of their borders and bomb here and there. When those planes or F-35s, they become very vulnerable, and it's now worth flying them because you might just lose them today. Then what will become important would be the forces that are on the ground, and the countries around Israel, they have larger ground forces. They have larger people that want to end Israel. Even inside in West Bank, in Gaza, there are too many people that don't want this state. They don't want this political system. They are uncomfortable with Zionists, and they're farmers. Well, when South African apartheid regime ended, then the new government, after a little while, instituted laws that bought back or confiscated large tracts of these farmlands, and then resold them to either the farmers that had a claim on them, or just gave it back to the tribes that were there before. I think this is what adjoining countries or the Hamas or PLO, they have to do. Once you occupy a territory, you have to take these farms away that produce food, and have these militant Zionists there, and they continuously bring in the military and get support. You have to either burn the farms or have other farmers come in and occupy them, or this is the end game. Or after the military that they have has been crushed, you need to destroy these infrastructures, and especially the farms have to be redistributed, the land have to be rezoned, and also other thing is to deal with the extremely militant and persistent population, the Jews that got financing and got all these weapons and tormented the people there for so long. I don't know if they have to build large prisons to house them and reorient them or re-educate them. I think that the Iranian government, when they catch up with agents that work for the US government, they usually put them in jail for like 5 years, and then they kick them out. or they give them back to the Americans with a lot of benefits, money and whatever, or trade them for other prisoners. Well, I think that at some point the Jews that just won't leave, or the ones that come back and start doing terrorist attacks after things have ended, you have to imprison them. You have to make either a concentration camp or imprison them in just regular prison for a nice long trip, and then hopefully they'll lose their interest and they'll go away forever. And when the Crusaders lost it in their quest for the Holy Land, there was a truce, and basically I think Salahuddin, the conqueror, he allowed the Christians and the Jews to just leave, just go away. And maybe that doesn't work, because our world is very connected, and these people will go back to Europe. They have all these bankers that finance them again, and then there will be more expeditions, more hanging them with another method, but then that's kind of inhuman. Some haven't been participating in military ventures. They're just simply militant that just will not stop badgering Muslims or occupying land that doesn't belong to them. I don't know the answers. Well, I don't know how the Syrians dealt with all the foreigners that the Saudi Arabia and UAE, they sponsored, they came in and did all these terrorist acts, and I think some were just killed in the airstrikes by the Russians or by the Syrians. I don't know what happened to the ones that they caught up with. Maybe they are in prison, or a lot of them are in prison. I think Syrian government killed many of them quietly. This is kind of like a suspicion I have. I have suspicion that the Iranian government catches up with the Wahhabis that come from south, like from UAE, from some Arabs with some weapons, just quietly crosses the border. I was reading some very obscure articles in Iranian newspapers that in 1 year they had captured like 30,000 of them with all these weapons. What happened to 30,000 people? Like, is there any more reports? I think somebody just blows their brains out, or they sell it. If they're wealthy, they sell them back to the Wahhabis again. Or, I don't know, but something like that might be going on after the ground invasion of Israel. And also, many of these weapons that Israel relied on to badger all its neighbors and establish some kind of immunity for its territory, they're useless weapons. There are reports that F-35s are susceptible to anti-aircraft batteries. Many of these planes, they are incapable of escaping the G-force or G-factor that many anti-aircraft rockets are totally capable of. For example, S-300, the small rockets that come out and chase planes, they can go as much speed as they want. They can go G7, they can go G9. I don't know what the S-500 batteries can do, but a pilot is saying F-35, he cannot outflank or outmaneuver such a fast rocket and such a G factor. it will hurt the pilot's circulatory system, because the human body cannot tolerate such G factors. So these planes that formerly Israel could use to punish different neighbors, they're kind of useless, and also they're very expensive plane. Like, I don't know, F-35s, how much they cost. But then the United States itself is very vulnerable to cyber attacks, and I don't know who else has all the plans, all the details of F-35s. Usually the Chinese, they come out with planes that are suspiciously similar to the Americans' best planes. Or I saw another YouTube article that the Russians had made, like this drone that very suspiciously similar to best bomber B-2 or B-52, and they have same kind of anti-gravitic technology. I don't know. I think that a lot of the technology that the U.S. government military hides, they also obtained it from Nazis, the anti-gravity, and or from their space program, secret space program. But this technology is not something that just the Americans have. Well, UFOs have been crashing other places too. I don't know, in Soviet Union, what happened to those technologies, or who studied and used them. Well, we know that the Nazis had their own UFOs and their own advanced technologies. I saw this plane that was captured in World War II. It was so eerily similar to one of my visions I had of Hitler. It was just like a wing with massive propellers on two sides. It was like in this dream I saw that Hitler got into this small plane, and this fucking thing was so fast and deadly. And what I saw with some of these captured planes from Nazi era, or if the Nazis had this stuff back then, who knows what's out there now? Maybe there are wars that are being waged, but nobody knows about it. Well, I think that the ultimate cincher would be that just the land, Palestine, will become unlivable for Zionists. Will become there's so much devastation to the farms, to the buildings, and a lot of these people will become like those Jewish women that say all these nice things about Israel, but they don't live there, and they have no immediate plans to go back, and maybe that will be the end of this shit. I particularly dislike wealthy Jews buying politicians and having this fantastic campaign in workplaces, in social life. I think they passed a law in the United States that if you're against Israel, you cannot work for the U.S. fucking federal government. Like, are you a branch of the Zionist criminals? Your workplace laws are reflection of what they want. That's really sad. But the Zionists, they do a lot of damage to the business that would otherwise be legitimate business, or relationships that would be otherwise very worthwhile to pursue. What I have seen is that a lot of women, especially Jewish women, even women that were in Israel and that have come out, they are like saying all this stuff in support of Israel, but at the same time they are kind of looking to find a mate or husband. That's not part of this charade. I think they even look at Muslim guy. Well, we are not in a war zone, and I do want to get on with my life, and that's well, the legitimate business and legitimate relationships are coming back, and this is also a sign that Israel is collapsing. And usually women are very instinctive. They know when something is not worthwhile in pursuing. Well, I'm gonna have another video on impotency, that because of all the junk the male in Western countries they consume, and they are most of them are medically impotent, and in fact many white women, many Israeli, many Jewish women, they are looking elsewhere, looking to blacks, looking to Muslims, to anybody to be with, because that's a viable relationship. Just like they are moved out, and Israel itself is not a viable country you can live in, have kids, and do business, because there's all this stuff going on, all this warfare. And I hope that the fucking U.S. government gets its butt kicked because of all the supports and all the crap they have created for Muslim countries, all the wars that they instigated, and my wish is that their dollar collapse and their clout or political influence or military presence comes to a very, very abrupt end in the world. And this will only make things a lot better for even the Americans, or anybody who's stupid and unfortunate enough to be caught here, have to deal with all this trash. Well, thank you very much for being in my YouTube channel. Please subscribe and leave comments.